the regular agenda?
No.
Okay, no changes. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second?
All right. Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. The August 26th, 2025 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting minutes. Has everyone had a chance to review those? They weren't attached to the packet, but I think we got those online. If there's no changes, we'll look for a motion.
Small correction, my name was misspelled, but I'll make a deal with it.
Oh, okay.
Noted. Thank you.
Very important.
It is.
It is very important. Okay. Any other changes, corrections? We'll look for a motion.
All motion to approve.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Number 4 is our land use ordinance workshop. We met on August 26th and we had a Horace, the corridor protected overlay district. And we directed city staff to draft an ordinance. We have that attached to our minutes. Nathaniel or anyone else, do you have anything else to add?
Let me know if you'd like me to go into it, but
Sure, yeah, dive in.
you have a draft ordinance that's been given to you. This is not up for a vote tonight. This is just for your feedback. The next meeting has been noticed, and you all will be able to vote on a recommendation that you'll make to the mayor and council regarding what action they should take on this. It has 12 sections. It's rather lengthy. It basically does 4 things. It creates an overlay district with additional design guidelines, with height restrictions, with additional landscaping requirements. It updates the table of zoning districts within the land use code to reflect that there is a new district. And in creating the district, it would also apply the district to specific locations that we'll go through. The third thing is it amends underlying zoning districts, specifically zones MX mixed use, zone 1776, zone UR urban residential, and zone OT old town. It would set all of those to a consistent 3-story maximum, as opposed to they have varying maximum heights at the moment. It would also create an option where a conditional use permit could be approved for any number of floors over 3 stories in any of those zones. We can go into the rules and the restrictions around a conditional use permit in a minute. The last thing that this ordinance would do is amend the design guidelines in all districts outside of the overlay to increase how often architectural details on the roof and articulation, that is, changes in the facade, how often those have to occur. So it would increase the standards of design guidelines citywide. It would add stricter design guidelines and a 2-story cap within the overlay district. And then it would amend the maximum heights in all what we're calling mixed-use oriented districts, all 4 of those. Do you have any questions about that high level before I dig in?
Just a query. I don't suppose you have a lined copy where it lined the things that you removed and highlighted the things that you added? Sometimes that's helpful when you're
So,
looking at these.
section 1, yeah, it's all new unless it is a graphic that has markup on it.
Okay. No, if it's everything, if it's just totally written and not a revision, then
Section 1 is all new, and then you get into these other sections, you'll see the red lines.
Okay.
But yeah, section 1 is all new, so then we don't do anything with it in terms of underlined or red.
Super. Thanks a
That
lot.
copy, I think, is underneath your agenda. This one, there's 2 copies. There, that's the red line.
Is it heavily based on another district? Or is it
Um,
really like,
So the The overlay is based on the feedback from the two community engagement sessions in August. Obviously, the height restriction was a big point of concern. It was also based on those, I don't know if you remember all the streetscapes
I guess
that,
what I meant was
that were discussed.
like if there was a similar section for mixed use, is there a diff to the mixed use? Like it was, has similar verbiage as a mixed use district? What's the difference between that? I guess maybe is what I meant.
Okay, so the overlay district will be additional rules for height and design that apply just on the corridors where it is adopted. The changes to the mixed-use district are strictly the height restrictions are proposed to be modified, and then the minimum required glass on the ground floor is also proposed for amendment. There isn't a new district in the sense of a new category of how uses are regulated. I'm sorry, I'm not sure
I
I'm,
think I got the answer, which is basically, this section is the diff to the other districts. There isn't like, it like went over the other districts and then just had some differences in it. I get that, never mind, it doesn't matter.
It does matter, so let's try to figure this out. So the underlying zoning districts are not changing with this ordinance. What this ordinance does is, when we get into the actual corridors, within 250 feet of those, the center line of the road, that's where this overlay district is going to apply.
I get that.
Okay?
I was just, I guess riffing off what he was saying about like the differences, and I was thinking that, that if there was like let's say the, Old Town and 1776, they probably look very similar, right? I mean, they're two separate sections, but they probably have very similar words and maybe some differences.
sure,
I was just maybe wondering if this had a similar thing to that, where it's like a lot of the similar words, but then things are tweaked, or is it actually like completely new content describing the additional constraints and not rehashing all the details of the other districts? That's all I was asking.
It tends towards the second because it is design focused instead of use focused, and we're already leveraging the underlying zoning, so we don't really have to repeat it necessarily.
Have there been staff discussions on this? In particular, the three of you, of the modifications of the overlay district? Concerns, anything like that? Have you guys talked about it?
I mean,
So this was drafted by our main man, Jace.
Yeah.
Before he left.
Okay.
And then Nathaniel took a stab at reviewing it, and then I reviewed it and made changes that I thought were needed just for consistency with the rest of the land use code in terms of like formatting and stuff. And now it's kind of a discussion of
Yeah.
the Planning and Zoning Commission. You guys obviously haven't seen much of it, so my thought was, here it is. We'll briefly go over it, take a look at it. You got 2 weeks, and then we'll really get into the discussion after you've had an opportunity to review it
Okay.
at the October 28th
Yeah.
meeting, because you're seeing it for the first time. It's a 14-page
Yeah.
ordinance, so there's kind of a lot to it. It's, the first 4 pages are what's actually the overlay protection district, and then the other pages are the maps or the
Wait,
diagrams, whatever that need to change for those actual height requirements. So my thought is, if Nathaniel just wants to go through it quick, and then you guys take 2 weeks to review it, and then we come back and have a greater discussion on October 28th in terms of what changes
Okay.
you see, and then what changes that the public might have in mind before you make a recommendation to the council.
okay.
So the idea would be that if, after review, this is approved, it would just be added into the land use
that's correct.
plan.
It'd be a new district, but it would only apply where adopted in this ordinance.
I have one question. If we wanted to have something somewhere about transitioning from existing neighborhoods to higher buildings, would that be, where would that go in the land use code? Would that be part of the overlay ordinance that we're drafting now, or is that something separate?
I would argue for that being separate. for that being a separate set of amendments to underlying zoning districts.
It called,
Um,
something called transition or.
Well, that's already called for within the land use code itself, is obviously, you recall going through it under the 13 criteria, and just a discussion on, it's gonna be dependent on where the property is located, you know,
Right,
and
but
what,
we have
what's
some
around
tough
and stuff, but you'll address it through the other underlying zoning districts. This district is applicable to the 250 feet away from the center line of the road.
I'm
And
not-
we're pushing some of those taller buildings towards our neighborhoods, so that's where I'm struggling a little bit.
Your concern probably is.
And I would
it's
look-
okay, right?
Right,
And then
so
upper
how
interpretation,
do,
but maybe that's okay.
I'm trying to prevent like another issue that we've hashed out over and over again with, we have people with large lots, and then we have a short transition period between the road and their lots, and now we're pushing them back, and so now all of a sudden.
But you have to look too at where are these underlying zoning districts that are going to allow for those higher density or those larger type buildings, and I don't think that they're in the areas that, would affect those larger homes if we're going 250 feet off the road. You know?
Well, I think we're creating the issue up here, because we're,
I think that's where this city possibly has the idea of where that stuff would go. The higher density and the taller buildings would be in those areas. If you're pointing out where you're,
The underlying concern, I think, is that do we have the ability to use discretion on the approval of the design? That they can't put that right next to, like, other residential lots, I guess. Like if they have a taller building right next to 2-acre lots, for example. Like is the
To-
ordinances, do they allow us the ability to?
To answer the narrow question, it's not my opinion that this particular overlay district is the tool for that. If you'd like me to have, at the next meeting, some information about that for you, I can put something together. I think that's gonna look like amendments to the separate zoning districts, which we are looking at some amendments. I think that'd be additional and be sort of a place that we haven't tread before as a city, which is certainly possible.
I would be more comfortable as sending it to city council as a package then.
Okay.
Rather than pushing this off and doing it later, so that if we have an application between now and then for a bunch of apartments, we backed up to, area with large properties, we wouldn't be able to do it.
Can I ask, so when you say large
Or a tall building, a
properties?
hotel,
Okay,
whatever.
okay.
Maybe you should bring up the zoning map, so you can.
Would you be offended if I talked about your property? Okay. Yeah. Give me one second and I'll have this pulled up.
Because I think that's where most of our anxiety comes in.
I just wanted to make sure that I understand.
And I think your intention is, you know, what you said, what Lucas said, is we're just gonna put it out there today, and then next week.
Yes.
Or next meeting, then we really go through it with a fine tooth comb. So maybe we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Okay.
well, these are good considerations, but
Yeah.
my thought with it is that it's gonna have to be you're gonna have to look at the underlying zoning districts in whichever part of town that you're thinking about, where, because I think, I'm following what you're saying, is if we're pushing this out, we're pushing out this issue to some of the lower density
Right.
developments, but I think my point is, we'd have to look at the city, look at these proposed, boundaries, where they'd be located, and then look at the districts, because the city's not gonna have, when you push that out, the city's not gonna have a low density, or excuse me, a high density right next to a low density district.
Great.
Like, that doesn't exist in the city. We've tried to separate it or transition it.
Right.
And so I think the underlying zoning districts are gonna prevent the issue that you're describing with this district is just discussing the overlays.
Right.
I asked.
But my question was if we wanted to change that, do we send it to city council as a package? You know what I mean?
Like refine it maybe if it isn't clear. I'm sorry, I don't think words.
Refine
So,
the height requirements within those other districts? Or,
I think the issue is more transitional. I don't know that it's overall height.
I could be wrong. I think an example might help us make sure we're talking about the same thing. Here's Southdale, for example. The undeveloped property between CR 17 and the existing single-family homes is zoned for mixed use. This would, if the ordinance was adopted as written, have a maximum of 2 stories within the hashed area, 250 feet of the center line of CR 17. To the east of that dark line, the balance of the property until you get to the single-family homes would still be mixed use, and under the revised land use code would have up to 3 stories by right.
It would be right up the road on the right side. It's like what-
After setbacks,
outside
yes,
of the black.
Yeah.
outside of the black.
The setback
Um,
from the road in front of the houses, I think.
You
is
couldn't
what
do
he's
any,
talking about.
your limitation on 2 stories is within this area.
Right.
So essentially, we've pushed a taller building.
Right into the backyard of the people on the east side.
Into
But-
this area.
And that won't happen. I mean, it's just, well, it can't happen because there's no transition. We can't just say, hey, we're gonna build a 3-story apartment building in your backyard.
Density.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, those are 1-acre lots, aren't they?
It's their
Yeah.
front yard.
Southdale is not
We're
one
looking
acre.
at
Sunset, on the sunset.
Oh.
I think you're looking to the west and they're.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah,
They're
west,
to the
west.
They're
west,
thinking
yeah.
to the east.
So they'll
and
have
they're-
it in their front yard.
Yeah, they'll have it in their front yard.
But my point is, you would not zone this
Yeah,
a zoning district that allows for a 3-story building.
yeah.
Right.
So the underlying zoning district is what takes care of that.
So with the.
But do
with
they
the-
want that in their front yard? The other people on the east side?
You do have a lot more density there.
Yeah. but
I don't know what it's zoned right now.
There would be an offset, I assume, from that road that's right in front of the
Yes, mixed
house,
use
too,
has
but
setbacks
once
that have to be.
Once we agree on the overlays and stuff, we're going to have to look at the future land use map again to see
Yeah.
what fits.
And yeah, that's just it, like, what page discusses? So right now, the eligible locations are in section, 3A1 and 2. And so it's gonna be pretty easy for you to answer your own questions when you look at those designations and then run your 250 feet off of those. And then it would be, like Ron is saying, look at the current zoning map or the future land use map to see what could be built there. But yeah, so my point with all of this is the underlying zoning district outside of that boundary is still gonna control as it's done in the past.
And to answer, like in this specific case, mixed use has a minimum front yard setback of 25 feet, maximum of 95 feet.
And the mixed use is
Yes,
still
So they have to build within
under
95
its
of
2
that
stories.
road.
within zone MX.
Right.
We're raising that though.
Is the density to the east, is that
They
the highest density you can have?
build
inside
up to
of the
3
building, or
stories
is it
and
townhouses would be
45
slightly
feet.
dense, but
45 feet if we change this, but we could change it lower.
Yes.
And that's-
Well,
so-
no, that's,
And what is the historical
that's what,
transition
why
from
reading through this stuff is gonna be.
3-story apartment building?
Assuming that was part of our conversation, what
neighborhood
height
like
we go
that? Is there a
with.
transition of another zone? district?
So that is zone CR compact residential in Southdale. And other than urban residential, which allows multifamily units, that is going to be the highest density residential zone. So to some extent, it's a matter of perspective, whether you consider that high or low density.
Once we read through this and digest it, I think our questions will get a little more specific and just a little nervous about it.
The.
And Doug will have lots of questions. I'm
Sure, absolutely. I know one question was the 250-foot width. I've given you a couple of maps for reference. That's going to be, the front of this building has about an 85-foot setback from the lot line, not from the center line, but from the lot line. And 250 feet from the center line is just shy of the rear wall of this building, to give you a sense of scale of what the setback area would be. In most districts, in these mixed-use districts, the underlying setbacks are going to insist on the building frontage being within that zone, so you're not going to be able to just put a sea of parking out in front. The exception to that is Zone C. We're sitting in Zone C, commercial. Commercial doesn't have a maximum setback, so you could hypothetically, you'd still be able to insist on higher standards for landscaping, for berms, parking lot islands, but you could hypothetically have someone that just pushes back outside of the buffer, and that would be up to your design review authority to insist that someone complies with the spirit of the overlay district.
When I think we had some buffed up landscaping though, did we talk about buffed up design features in commercial though?
Sorry, I missed part of the question.
I think
she's asking different things. She can go first.
we had a discussion about increased design standards and adding that in here too.
So there are increased design standards both within the overlay and without the overlay.
Okay.
Less without, but outside, I should say. Parking garages, that's going to be dependent on whether it's a permitted use in the zoning district in the underlying. There's nothing that's going to prohibit it, but it would still have to meet the architectural standards.
So this will be a nice looking
Yeah,
parking garage.
if it's,
Because it's probably gonna be, less height of the building, and it's a workaround of the parking lot, right?
I see what you're saying.
Building, like, they could put their parking garages on the road, along the road.
I see what you're saying. Hypothetically, yes, they could. Like I say, they would have to meet the architectural standards, so pretty garages, I guess. I don't know whether that's any comfort, but. Anything else I wanted to call out specifically? Obviously, mixed use was reduced to 2 stories in the past. I think I already told you about that, and this would be putting it back to 3. Conditional use permits. So the ordinance as the draft as written allows someone to ask you for, well, ask the city council for a conditional use permit for buildings over 3 stories tall in these 4 specific mixed-use districts. A conditional use permit has to meet specific criteria that are laid out in the ordinance. It is something that has a hearing and has to be voted on by the city council. It isn't something where you can just show up and I sign off on it.
But right now, if they're in this district, you could put a 3 in without a conditional use permit, correct?
If this were adopted, yes, that's
So you
correct.
Just right away.
3 would be by right. Anything over that would be. All of these, except for mixed use, allow up to 4 currently. So,
Well, no, currently it's only 2 and 35 feet, because we've got a restriction on it.
but that's only mixed use.
We only
We're talking about 4 different
Yeah.
districts here.
Okay, you're right.
And that was not done to those other 3 districts. So yes, the one district comes up, the other 3 districts go down. And there is a pathway created for additional height if it was deemed contextually appropriate by the officials, yourselves included, of the city, without doing a planned development, which would be the other path someone could pursue. If someone wanted to come in and were approved for a planned development, they could have a whole bunch of height if it was approved. That specifically bars them from seeking special assessment funding, among other issues. So there's some more details in your staff notes about that. This is to be frank, probably not everyone's top wish list. This is sort of an attempt at a compromise between the concerns expressed by a lot of the citizens about, we don't want to be Fargo with three residential floors over one commercial up close to the road, with the development community interests in being able to put together enough density to make a project go, which was expressed as three stories. There's likely to be dissatisfaction on both sides of that conversation. So I'm more than happy to, if y'all want to have conversations throughout the week, if you want to send me emails, however, if you have feedback we need to incorporate into a revised draft, if I can talk.
In this case, that's, sorry, one more time, but I think that's the concern that I brought up about the backside, is like, we're trying to, I think that's good that we're trying to allow these three-story buildings there. It's just that if we then run into an issue where any of the adjacent land farther out from the road can't transition, then it's like we really kind of still have a problem where we're not allowing it anyways. You know, that's where it's making sure that, we probably have to read through everything, make sure that like the transitions can happen to, like on the east side of the road, they can actually put a three-story apartment building there, and it's not gonna turn into another fight about it. That's I think.
I mean, I can't promise to some extent. There is some truth in what you're saying. I don't say that to mean you're speaking inaccurately. I mean to say, yes, this was designed to mitigate concerns that were expressed about density near the road. This was not designed to mitigate concerns about density further away from the road. And in fact, it is an attempt at exchanging density one place for another. So. Any other questions y'all had at the moment?
I got a copy of this map that shows 250 feet with the hashtags.
Yeah.
Did that get sent out to everybody else, or I just got it?
I believe so, but I'd be happy to send it
'Cause
again.
Maybe that would help to send that out. It was just a really nice visual
Yeah.
to show the lot lines and stuff. Ron didn't get it, so, is there any other, everybody's comfortable with the 250 feet?
Yeah, I'll have to look at that a little bit more.
We can have a
If
back and
y'all
forth on that.
want custom maps of a specific location with the overlay, shoot me an email and I'll send it to you.
If I haven't got, I don't recognize this, if you can just.
I
you
may
can
have left
send-
that out of
You
it.
can send it to me.
Absolutely.
You don't have to print it, you could just,
Okay.
I think that's really helpful. It's just a visual
yeah.
in different areas, just to see how far out 250 feet is.
I will note the ordinance language only specifies the east, so CR 17 both sides, and then the other corridors eastward, whereas the map that I sent you does extend it to the west. Whether or not you did that, 6 of one, half dozen of another, because it doesn't,
We didn't do the west side because it's mostly residential.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
so
So,
that was on purpose.
anything else you wanted to discuss?
Can you remind me the background of the reduction of the glazing requirements? I guess I don't, maybe I'm just remembering wrong.
So I'm coming in late on that. My impression is that, well, actually Julie might.
Yeah, so if you remember, what was the building called, the Prairie, it's the one on Main going by Big Herbs,
Prairie
what's it?
Designs building.
Prairie Designs building, so she had brought up some renderings, and maybe you weren't at that meeting, showing what 60% glazing and 50% glazing
got
and
it.
40% did.
I've got a copy of her handout in my bag, I can show it to you.
I just didn't know if it was.
Because with the glazing requirements that we had, it was all windows, or she couldn't even structurally build a building with how much glazing we had
I think it
required,
also
so.
got into like energy efficiency and stuff like that, going, in order to keep that efficiency up too, it'd be more difficult, more expensive. And so they were just asking for more flexibility of tone that down. believe is what the backstory of it
Yes.
was.
And we've approved less glazing with the design review process too, when it visually looks acceptable, so. It's just kind of a housekeeping thing.
You've also had times where folks have put like false glazing
Yep.
in just to check the box.
Other questions? We'll have another spirited discussion in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
The next item on our, agenda is the revised landscape plan for Clearwater Custom Cabinets.
It's gonna work. Okay, this was previously approved by y'all with 7 trees, street trees. That is these right here. They already have an existing line of trees. This is their existing building on the left-hand side of the site plan. Only this was the site plan that was approved by y'all. These trees are existing and are a different species than those approved on the street frontage. They're asking to make the species all the same, which would be a mix of gladiator snow crabapple and autumn blaze maple. Their preferred option for a revised planting schedule is to have them north-south on the side of the building and not be street trees. It would match the west side of the building. I appreciate their point. It's my opinion that the ordinance says they need to have street trees. I think they should have street trees, following the ordinance. Their second choice is to have the trees more spread out across the entirety of their frontage. I think if you all agree with that, no problem.
The autumn blaze maple is not gonna do well out there.
Okay.
It will probably die.
Too wet or what?
Yeah, it's just heavy clay.
No iron cirrhosis.
No iron, it'll
You're
get
doing-
iron
you're doing
chlorosis
great
in
at
5
my
years
place.
and the autumn blaze.
So at any rate,
Let's review this in 5 to 10 years. When they're all yellow and dead.
I have sandy soil.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, the soil out there is pretty cruel.
Yeah, I live not far from there,
Uh-huh.
and I planted the autumn blaze, hopefully to get color. It just turns yellow and stayed.
oh, really? Hmm.
So,
Mine turned red.
Ours do not.
We can't all be Lucas, right? At any rate, we are recommending for this approval with conditions. Previously approved street trees to be planted at city standard spacing from each other and from driveways. The previous plan had them a little narrower than city standard. Condition 2, street trees at standard spacing may be shifted onto the frontage of adjacent property owned by the applicant. That's just saying that if it's their property, it could be on that, as opposed to just the site plan, which again was only half of their property. And then condition 3, applicant is encouraged to plant additional street trees as necessary to fill out their frontage at city standard spacing. Y'all are welcome to take those recommendations or come up with your own.
I understand why they don't want street trees.
you said 3 trees?
Street trees, street
Street-
boulevard trees,
oh,
boulevard
yeah.
trees across the front of their building,
Yeah,
because it's blocking it from the road. But I do think they need to have at least something for a tree across the front of the road. If we're making everybody else do it, we have to be fair.
And they've got a small, it's a small display room on the west side of the building, but the rest of it, it's more like a manufacturing plant. And really, the trees are covering the parking lot of the manufacturing plant. So, I think if it was like, you know, a restaurant, if it was Texas Roadhouse, you know, I mean, I don't,
Fence and alternative,
yeah,
or-
I'm sure they'd want people to know it's,
Well, they could just plant a shorter street tree.
Yeah.
To your point, Chad, it's pretty small.
no.
Like the
It's a pretty
showroom
narrow-
part that you're talking about?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I, no,
Yeah.
oh, no, that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I think it's more of a
It's just
manu,
this right here.
if it
Yeah.
was, if it was a, hey, come out to our, you know, Texas Roadhouse, you know, and you want people to know it's there, I mean, that's one thing, but it being a manufacturing plant, I don't know if that's, you know, driving into the town, people wanna be like, oh, look at the manufacturing plant with the cars,
Yeah.
you know, I don't,
So I would say there are a variety of trees, and I know Julia would know this better than any of us here probably, is there are a variety of trees, and as approved boulevard trees or street trees, big, medium, and small size, like even when we do the tree program, we try to have a tree of each offered each year, so like a crabapple is your smaller ones, and so there are options to where they don't have to, I kind of view this initially not getting into the weeds of it, as it's probably about visibility, but there's some smaller trees that might help quite a bit.
They could plant some Amur maples, those are only gonna get 15, 20 feet.
What's the,
AMUR.
thank you.
And then those would live around here too.
Buckeye,
Yeah, Buckeye,
if they want the color stuff.
the hawthorn that they had listed here isn't a very tall one either.
So is there objection to having the street trees in front, visibility of their business?
What was stated to me was they dislike, I'm gonna call it the unbalanced planting.
It's gonna look weird, cause you have nothing on the one side.
On the other side to
Okay.
balance it out.
Well, and that's one of the recommended conditions, is to just allow them to spread it out across their entire frontage instead of being,
I guess as long as they have something, right? They have a plan for low, you know,
Cause, go back to their proposal,
9 bar.
because the 9 barks that they have are probably gonna be the Diablos, they're probably gonna get 10 feet tall. So I mean, an Amur maple really isn't gonna be that much, I might get 15 to 20 feet, so I mean, if those are the dark ones, so they could put 2 or 3 shorter trees in the front with their bushes to kind of balance it, I think we're fine with that. I think when they think boulevard trees, they're thinking a 60-foot oak tree or a ash tree or something like that, and that's not necessarily what we
yeah.
consider.
But they should know about that.
I gathered their main thing, they liked the idea of a symmetrical site plan, and
Yeah,
I agree with y'all that we're requiring street trees, I think they need to have. But exactly where those are is more or less at y'all's discretion.
well, and you can get dogwoods in tree form too, so. And you can also get 9 barks in tree form if they're that stuck on those. So what do you need from us?
A motion to
um,
approve the change?
To approve whatever change you all
Whatever
deem as
change you
fit.
want.
Right, yeah.
and staff has expressed a desire to not approve, correct? Yep.
Well, to approve, but not as submitted.
Okay, okay.
Approve across their frontage, at a greater spacing, and
Yep.
forgive me, do you mind if I just wave and point?
Yeah,
No,
go
that's
ahead.
okay.
That's helpful.
I need it attached
It was
to my
doing
hand.
something on the ceiling.
So, the site plan was only this. And as submitted, reading strictly, we shouldn't even let them spread them out more unless you all say so. They were wanting to shift them, as I showed you on the other, to
Yeah.
the side. I'm recommending, no, don't shift them to the side, but spread them out more. Really encourage them to plant as if the entire site was developed at once, but I don't know that we can make them do that, but
Mhm.
it'd be ideal.
Well, I wouldn't think it would make
Well,
much
I
difference to
mean-
them if they planted them all clustered together or spread out.
Right, we're requiring the same number of trees.
Right.
I guess
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
not gonna care if they're spread out or
Yeah.
not. It's gonna look better if they're spread out.
Yeah.
And that doesn't set a precedence because of the nature of, old lot being transformed into this. Just want to make sure that's setting a precedent.
Well,
Well-
they're kinda just adding on, so actually I think it'll make the building blend and not look like it was so chunky and built in.
And that was one of my notes and why I added the recommended condition of encouraging them to go ahead and plant at the density as if it was all developed at once. Because they're doing it in phases, I don't believe we can require that, but we can suggest it politely.
It's a compromise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a good compromise. I don't think they'll have an issue with that. Like I said, they're shorter trees. I'm fine with that, I just want to plant an autumn blaze. So you need a motion?
No.
Yes.
And what would fill it out in front, or
Well, we could have.
12? I mean, 6 more?
No, that's
No, he
plenty.
could use the same number that he has.
To be clear, I don't believe you should require more if you,
I
the
think we
the recommended conditions that I have for you in your notes should more or
Could
less give.
we have a minimum of 7 trees and optional
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
up to whatever, 13? Well,
Absolutely.
could they plant 50 trees up there if they wanted to?
No, they wouldn't have
No.
room for that.
Okay, so what we could do is we could have a minimum of 7 trees with an option to go to X amount determined by our arborist here, or you, so. Well, how many trees would fill that out in your opinion?
I didn't check their driveway spacing.
7 would be plenty.
Yeah.
That seems really.
Because
close
they have
me.
to stay off both the driveways, so it's not gonna be I'm guessing,
At
Nine-
35 feet, right?
yeah, so I'm guessing 9 or
Give them
10
that
total.
option, I mean, they can exercise that option if they want to, right? There's no rule that says they
Right,
can't.
We can't
Right.
demand it.
Right.
Regulation, like,
right.
I don't know.
I would think 10 trees maximum would be reasonable.
I would suggest just saying
I think the
maximum permitted
suggested
by,
motion is just to plant at least 7 trees.
Yes,
That's
yes,
the
yes.
spacing of your discretion.
Yes,
yes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
in the
And-
front, not the side.
Okay, who's making the motion?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'll make a motion that rather than the plan submitted by the owners, that they plant the trees as approved, however, they should be spread out across the.
Okay.
Do you want them spread on both sides of that driveway or just along that section?
I think we can say across the property, front property line.
I'm gonna leave that.
Okay, across the property line.
Do you all want to mention the species at all, or just,
We would suggest they not use the autumn blaze maple as indicated in their tree legend due to the
okay,
Fact is gonna die.
poor success in this area with that species. Did you have a substitute that you wanted to suggest to them then?
I suggested the Amur
Mhm.
maple.
Okay.
I'll make a note.
And consider using the Amur maple in exchange for the
So you said-
autumn blaze.
You said a minimum of 7. Are you allowing any more than 7?
When that's the income
Th-
option.
They have,
Yeah,
they
they can
should
have more
trees.
Okay.
Yeah,
put
yeah,
up 7 and
yeah.
they can have more than,
Minimum of 7,
Yeah.
okay.
minimum
Can you
of
paraphrase
7.
that you're- I mean, it doesn't seem like you have to force them to put it on the outside of the driveway. I mean, right
No.
now, as approved, we already said it's okay to have them
Yeah.
shift it over
Yeah,
the day. Like, if they
absolutely.
wanna shift it to the driveway
Yes.
or beyond it, I mean,
Yes,
it's for their benefit, let them choose.
yes,
Yep, that's what we're saying, right?
Okay, just wanna make sure that's the.
We're clear?
We're
good?
clear. We're
Is
great.
there a
It's a-
second?
I'll second.
All right, motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Any other announcements? All right. If not, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved?
All right, meeting adjourned.